Hello guys, welcome to weekly outlook here on the pound USD. We have the DXY and gold. Okay, so basically starting off with the pound USD, I'll head up to the daily time frame. Last week we saw that for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday we had bearish movements. On Thursday and Friday having strong bearish movements, and we've seen price come into the psychological level of 1.2500 and probably below it, but we closed right below 1.25, and that's a psychological level right there. And if you look over here to the left side, we've seen rejection patterns previously in that region. Price rejected here, rejected, and continue to the upside. Now, two things. I might anticipate a little bit of a pullback, but on the general term, I think the pound USD is on a downtrend, and price is heavily attracted to 1.2450 psychological level, and possibly 1.2300. So for this week, we might see price get to these regions. Otherwise, we might just stall a little bit around this region. Okay, if you head onto the 4 hours time frame, the analysis I'm anticipating is with these rejections here is either we'll continue downward or we'll pull back a little bit to these regions and look for an entry to ride to the downside. Okay, now what I'm anticipating is quite simple for this week, and if I pull up my Fibonacci retracement tool and hit from this move last week to this low here, we could see that it coincides with this support tone resistance region. Okay, at 50% retracement or 61.8%, we might have that push to the downside. Okay, and if we stretch this, we could see our take profit range to that part where we are anticipating, which is around 1.23 regions. So I'll take this fib out. All right, taking that fib out, back on, let's see, to draw our tools, or should I say our anticipation arrows. I'm anticipating price to pull back to these regions, and then we can head on to the downside. Okay, this is basically what I'm anticipating. Okay, nevertheless, over here on the daily time frame, or should I say back on the 4 hours time frame, if market opens and price decides to continue to the downside, then that's fine. We'll be anticipating something like a break of this region. I would need a good pullback, okay, a good pullback to that region, and then we can continue to the downside. All right, this is basically what I'm anticipating. But for us to think of anything buys on pound USD, it has to be that price has to come back to break above this region here of 1.27 psychological level. If price does that, then we could anticipate anything buys. Okay, anything buys. All right, that's that for my analysis here on pound USD. I'm strictly waiting for opportunities to sell, preferably when price pulls back to 1.26 psychological level, and then we can ride it down to 1.25 and then below, which is 1.2450. If price has more momentum for the week, then we could go as low as 1.2400 below. Okay, that's that for pound USD. And then quickly before we do gold, I want to take a look at DXY as a confluence to entering the trade for pound USD. We've seen over here on the daily time frame how bullish the DXY is, which is showing us a strong dollars, okay, a strong USD. And over here in the past, we've held 107 as a strong resistance in the past. We could call that a psychological level as well, and price has breaked it comfortably with a strong bullish candle. Now what we are, this could actually be an engulfing candle because it did engulf all the other candles we have here previously. So if we slide down to the 4 hours time frame, what I'm anticipating is quite simple, a continuation to the upside, but we might retest this region. So since we'll have a break to the upside, I'm looking for price to pull back to this region here of previously held resistance, now turn support, and then we can continue to the upside, maybe creating a new high possibly. This is how simple I'm anticipating it to be. Okay, anything sells for DXY has to be a break of 106 region. Okay, 106 region. That's before I start looking for anything sold. But for now, what I'm looking out for is a pullback to these regions here and then pick up orders, and we can continue. We could also test this with our Fibonacci retracement tool from this low here to this high, and we can see that it matches 61.8 retracement region. Okay, so that's actually a good confluence, double confluence is right there. So this is a good trade. I'm very much anticipating for price to come into this region, and then we are not just going to buy the DXY or enter a sell on pound USD. We're just going to wait for a rejection pattern, double bottom or bullish engulfing and or bearish engulfing, as the case may be for pound USD. Then we can enter the trade. Okay, that's that for DXY. And lastly over here on gold, we've seen last week I was anticipating price to come reject towards this region and continue to the downside, but we saw how bullish gold got. So from the daily time frame, you can see from the beginning of the week price was just bullying up. Okay, two things here on gold. We could actually see that over here on this level, we could see that maybe price came here to retest these regions back again and then continue to the upside. Are we in a bearish market for gold? I would say not entirely. Now, usually when DXY is very strong, people tend to invest in DXY, and then when DXY is bearish or very weak, people tend to invest in gold. Okay, now it's funny right now that DXY seems to be very strong, and at the same time gold looks like it's pulling. So in my opinion, what I'm looking at is that price is just pulling back. Okay, we might have started that bearish movement because DXY started becoming strong. So what we saw last week might just be a pullback to the upside here, just to pick up orders and keep dumping because people are selling off gold positions possibly. Now for me to actually get into these trades here, I want to see price rejecting this region, creating something like a double top or something like a bearish engulfing to show that price wants to pull back. At least let's maybe see something like a double top here and price pull back at least to these regions 2650, and then we'll see what price does. But the way price is looking, if we break above this region of 2700 or 2710, we might retest and then come all the way to these regions of 2750 psychological level, which might give us like a head and shoulder pattern or previously had resistance here, and then we might sell off again. Okay, now the only reason I might be gearing up for a full buy is when price breaks above 2750. Then we might anticipate price to start going to the upside here. Okay. So these diagrams might be confusing, but what I'm looking out for is if price could create a double top here at 2700, then we can sell down to the 2650 psychological level or below, which is actually a long run to continue selling towards the downside. But for the week, actually we might just see 2650 retested. But if price opens up and we still keep soaring high, we might see price come all the way to 2750. This is where I'm much interested in looking for sales to sell down to 2700 or below as well. Okay, now lastly, if price breaks above 2750, we are sure that to see that price wants to retest to 790, the previous high, or make a new high at 2800. Okay, that's that for gold. And thank you guys for watching the weekly outlook. I'll see you guys for weekly recap during the weekend. Make sure you back some pips, and ciao.